closely. For the first time, we're seeing video of a woman retrieving a gun moments before she murdered her wife.
She was a mother of 4, full of life, laughter, and dreams that reached far beyond the walls of her home. Corneisha Butler worked tirelessly to build a life for her children, a life filled with warmth, safety, and hope. But that world shattered in an instant. Murdered in cold blood by someone she once trusted, a jealous ex-girlfriend, someone whose obsession twisted love into something deadly. In a single, violent moment, Corneisha's home, the place she fought so hard to protect, became a crime scene. Her toddler witnessed it all. Her children lost their mother forever, and even though warning signs were everywhere, the system failed her, and the threats were ignored. Hello everyone, welcome back to Unraveled Crime. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that could save a life. Today, we're exploring a heartbreaking case that reveals the deadly consequences of jealousy, obsession, and system failures. The 5-bedroom house stood as a monument to Corneisha Butler's perseverance. On a crisp autumn day in 2022, the 32-year-old mother of 4 moved through her spacious kitchen, preparing for Thanksgiving just 9 days away. Her laughter echoed through rooms that represented everything she had worked for: stability, security, and a sanctuary for her children. Known for her infectious smile and entrepreneurial spirit, Corneisha snapped photos of her home to share with friends online. "From Memphis to Atlanta, look how far we've come," she captioned. Little did she know that the walls meant to protect her family would soon witness unimaginable horror. In her driveway, the pink Mercedes she had worked so hard to buy sat like an omen, charred from a previous threat, an early sign that danger had been creeping closer. On November 16, 2022, 9 days before Thanksgiving, Corneisha Butler was shot 3 times in her own home, in front of her 2-year-old child. The shooter wasn't a stranger. It was Shakia Perkins, her ex-girlfriend of 6 years.
New at 6, a Channel 2 Action News exclusive. Look closely. For the first time, we're seeing video of a woman retrieving a gun moments before she murdered her wife. She's now pleaded guilty to the crime, and Channel 2 investigative reporter Mark Winnie is live in Midtown Atlanta. Mark, there were allegations of domestic violence before the murder, but that suspect got out on bond.
Yeah, a prosecutor with the Fulton County DA's Domestic Violence Division says while the video shows the killer getting the gun moments before this murder, his experience looking at abusive relationships shows how often victims sadly stay in or return to a relationship even as the violence escalates.
In the Perkins case, it is a wife who kills her wife. There had been escalating violence.
In November 2022, Shakia Perkins shot out of the house she shared with her wife, Corneisha Perkins, stalked to her car, and came back with a gun in her left hand. Then Shakia shot Corneisha in the head and killed her, says Fulton County Senior Assistant District Attorney Travis Thomas.
Pretty soon after we showed that video, she decided to take the plea.
He says last month, Shakia Perkins pled guilty to murder and more.
She ultimately pled to life with the possibility of parole. That was a plea deal that was offered. So she admitted everything.
Thomas says though they shared the bond of matrimony on the day of the murder, Shakia Perkins should not have been near her wife because Shakia was out on bond totaling $70,000 on charges of aggravated assault, criminal damage to property, terroristic threats, felony, and arson first degree. Conditions including must not come within 200 yards of the victim in those alleged incidents, which was Corneisha.
She tried to run Corneisha off the road in her car, and this all happened within months of this incident. Also, there was an incident where she set Corneisha's car, she had a Jeep, set her car on fire in a driveway.
Thomas says in the vehicle arson, a person believed to be Shakia Perkins can be seen on doorbell video in the vicinity of the fire. And in another incident, she kicked the door of a residence where Corneisha temporarily stayed. The prosecutor says charges relating to the alleged incidents before the murder were dismissed since Shakia Perkins agreed to plead guilty in the murder case and accept a life with the possibility of parole sentence. Prosecutor Thomas told us he's a former Army officer who did 2 tours in Iraq. but his work as a domestic violence prosecutor in Fulton County has showed him the toll escalating violence can take.
Recognize domestic violence and seek help. There's a lot of organizations out there that will help.
A transcript indicates the defense said, "My client has never been in real trouble before. You know, this was a toxic relationship that I think both families just wished that they had gone their separate ways, and it's just not what happened. They kept trying to work it out." District Attorney Fonnie Willis.
We here in Fulton County need to do what they've done all across the country and create a family justice center so the victims here, when they are going through this abuse, they have somewhere to go and resources to help them to rebuild their lives.
Now, I guess we're in one of those pop-up showers that Brad just talked about. In 2022, we covered that bond a judge gave in the earlier alleged incidents, a statement then attributed to Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis said, in part, my office opposed bond in this case. Cases involving domestic violence often involve ongoing danger to the victim. We tried to reach out in a number of ways to the defense attorney today. Reporting live, Mark Winnie, Channel 2 Action News.
Despite 4 separate domestic violence cases, multiple documented threats and a restraining order, the system failed Corneisha. One text from Shakia read, "You will be dead soon. I'm going for first degree, not second degree." These weren't idle words. They were a declaration of intent to kill. Have you ever ignored warning signs in a relationship that later proved dangerous? Could you recognize when normal conflict crosses into something deadly? Think about it as we go through Corneisha's story and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Corneisha Butler was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. A vibrant Leo, friends described her as confident, vivacious, and free-spirited, with a laugh that could fill any room. Her style, charm, and resilience made her stand out, and she inspired everyone who knew her. Motherhood defined her life. Her 4 children, 3 girls and 1 boy, were the center of every decision she made. Her home overflowed with laughter, music, and celebration. She tirelessly provided for them, often sacrificing her own comfort for their happiness. Professionally, Corneisha was a dual-career powerhouse. She worked as a registered tax preparer, helping clients navigate complex finances, and as an esthetician, expressing her creativity while maintaining flexibility for her children. Her move from Memphis to Atlanta marked a leap toward bigger opportunities, and purchasing a 5-bedroom home was the culmination of her years of hard work and determination. Social media reflected her pride and joy, showcasing her children's milestones, family celebrations, and personal achievements. She had built a life of independence, stability, and love. Corneisha met Shakia Perkins in Memphis around 2016. Their connection was immediate and intense. Shakia wooed her with grand gestures, surprise gifts, and public declarations of love. For Corneisha, who had dated both men and women before, it seemed like the stability she wanted. At first, everything appeared perfect. Shakia integrated herself into Corneisha's family life, building bonds with her children and presenting herself as a supportive partner. But beneath the early romance, darker patterns were quietly emerging. Friends noticed possessiveness, jealousy, and control. Shakia monitored Corneisha's phone, questioned her about her whereabouts, and interfered with her friendships. Professional successes that should have been celebrated became sources of conflict. Financial decisions were scrutinized, and minor disagreements triggered. Disproportionate anger followed by periods of intense affection, a pattern that slowly eroded Corneisha's boundaries. By 2018, the relationship had developed a toxic cycle. Explosive breakups followed by passionate reconciliations. With each reunion, the trauma bond grew stronger, making it harder for Corneisha to leave. Even as Shakia's threats escalated, by early 2021, Shakia's behavior became more violent. She destroyed property, smashed Corneisha's devices, and engaged police for the first time after neighbors reported screaming. Yet Corneisha declined to press charges, hoping to resolve things privately. In January 2022, After Corneisha attempted a definitive breakup, Shakia burned her pink Mercedes, her pride and symbol of independence. 3 months later, Corneisha's Jeep Wrangler suffered the same fate. By fall, text messages explicitly threatened Corneisha's life. "You will be dead soon. I'm going for first degree, not second degree." Despite obtaining a restraining order in October 2022, harassment continued. Corneisha contacted police at least 6 times in the month before her murder, documenting every violation, but enforcement was inconsistent. Officers often arrived hours late, and the legal system repeatedly failed to protect her. Shakia Perkins had a long documented history of violence. She faced 4 separate domestic violence cases, including May 2021 simple battery, February 2022 destruction of business equipment and terroristic threats, April 2022 arson of Corneisha's vehicle, October 2022 violating a restraining order. Yet bail decisions repeatedly released her, even as threats escalated. Police response was inconsistent, and courts lacked a mechanism to connect these patterns. Risk assessment protocols designed to prevent lethal domestic violence were never applied. Corneisha's story exposes a systemic failure, where laws intended to protect her became paper shields against a determined attacker. November 16, 2022 began like any ordinary day. Corneisha dropped her children at school and headed to her tax office. At 2:15 p.m., she picked up her 2-year-old early due to a slight fever. By 3 p.m., she returned home with groceries, completely unaware that Shakia was tracking her movements all day. At 5:45 p.m., Shakia approached the front door. Unlike previous confrontations, she was unusually calm. Corneisha opened the door, possibly hoping to handle the situation quietly while her toddler napped nearby. At 6:03 p.m., the first gunshot rang out. 2 more followed. Ballistics confirmed Shakia fired 3 times at close range, hitting Corneisha in the chest and abdomen. Her 2-year-old child witnessed the attack, terrified but physically unharmed. Shakia fled immediately, heading to her sister's apartment. Police located her 3 hours later, using cell tower data. She was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, child cruelty and firearms violations. Bail was denied, and her trial is scheduled for early 2024. Corneisha's 4 children were left to navigate profound grief. Her sister, Corneisha Butler, stepped in to raise them, moving into Corneisha's home to provide stability. The family established a foundation in Corneisha's name, supporting domestic violence victims and raising awareness about recognizing early warning signs. Her legacy extends beyond tragedy, a stark reminder that domestic violence can escalate to deadly outcomes, and that systemic failures have real human consequences. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to Unraveled Crime. Have you witnessed similar warning signs in relationships? Share your experiences in the comments below. You never know who might see your story and find the courage to escape danger.